Well, good Friday evening, everyone. It is Friday here, just before 7 o'clock. Wanted to get on and do a video and look at the potential for another round of severe weather tomorrow. So that would be Saturday afternoon and evening. Looks like we're going to have storms in maybe firing in two different areas, certainly across the higher elevations of southeast Colorado and the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. And then gradually moving off to the east southeast into the evening hours, and then likely another batch of storms that fires up kind of across maybe central or north central Texas and moves east. This also may affect the Dallas Fort Worth area in your Saturday evening and the overnight hours as well. So let's take a look at kind of what model data is showing here this evening, kind of the timing and likely threat areas, and kind of some of the forecasts behind tomorrow's chances for yet again another day of severe weather across North Texas and Oklahoma. So, do want to take a look at our moisture that's going to be in place. This is the North American model, the afternoon run here on Friday. This is showing valid for 6 p.m. tomorrow on Saturday. And so, what we can see here is that we are going to have a dry line that's going to be in place. And so we can see that really, let's see here, kind of right here. We can see kind of this dry line setting up right along here. Now, right here, we can kind of notice this bulge right here, kind of this nose of the dry line that's bulging out to the east. Sometimes this can be an area where we can see a focus for thunderstorms. And it does look like here, kind of this north central, maybe the big country of Texas is where we will see that kind of Texas batch of storms fire off. So that will be worth watching here as we move forward. And then again, storms coming off the higher terrain in the panhandles in southeast Colorado as well. But again, when we look at up here, dew points into the 60s, even mid 60s, more than enough moisture at some of these higher elevations, and then dew points into the mid to almost upper 70s across much of kind of north central Texas and the big country and rolling plains. Again, sufficient moisture. If you've been in North Texas this week, you've probably felt it. It almost feels like you're wearing the air when you go outside. So, more than enough moisture at play. Now, when we do go and let's see here, we look at some of the other ingredients that we want to look at is obviously instability that's in place. Let me stop this for motion. When we move forward in time, we get kind of midday. We can see some of these brighter colors. This would mean that this area is uncapped. Whenever you see kind of this grayed out area, this means that possibly the cap is going to hold. But kind of across this north central, kind of central Texas big country, we can see these brighter colors. That's instability levels of 3,000 to 3,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE, more than enough, double, almost triple the amount that we would need for the chance of severe weather. So we're going to have a lot of instability that builds in place. That's certainly not going to be any issue there. When we look at some of our 0 to 3 kilometer SRH, so kind of those storm relative helicities, kind of that a little bit of a gauge of how much wind shear is there in the atmosphere. Again, we look tomorrow afternoon, a little bit more marginal down here in the kind of big country north central Texas category. There is enough for severe weather here, organized severe storms. Does look like we might be maximized here across the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. That's why we might have a little bit greater tornado threat up here to the north on this kind of northern target. So we do have enough wind shear that's going to be in place. That also won't be an issue. So it does look like, again, probably two different target areas. Let's go back to the simulated radar here and kind of take a look at that. So if we back up to, let's say, kind of after lunchtime, one thing that this HRRR model is showing is maybe some cloud cover that could be in place here, kind of across north central Texas. We'll see if that is what we find tomorrow. If so, could be a couple things. Sometimes the cloud cover can really inhibit storm development. What's more likely tomorrow is that it actually might keep the surface temperatures a little bit cooler, not a lot, but maybe a couple degrees, 5 degrees here or there. That actually could be a plus for more developed storms or possibly even an isolated tornado threat. Too hard to know really at this distance. It's kind of more of a day of type of a scenario, but it is possible that we might get a little bit of cloud cover here. Once we move into kind of the mid afternoon, this would be about 5 o'clock. we can see our two different targets here across kind of north central Texas, and then here across southeastern Colorado and the panhandles, and even southwest Kansas as well. So, kind of these two main targets of where storms initiate here that we've looked at. And then as we move forward in time, let me clear that. As we move forward in time, we can see that both of these targets, we have storms that form here and move towards the I-35 corridor in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got this line of storms back here, and then we also get some more isolated storms that form out along the eastern Oklahoma and Texas panhandle and even southern Kansas. These isolated storms, given the environment, certainly could have a significant severe weather risk, even a tornado threat with some of these storms. It'll be interesting to see if models keep giving us kind of this isolated storm mode out here in the eastern panhandles. Certainly something worth watching, although it is a little bit late in popping up, showing around 7 p.m., even though models tend to run a little bit late. But again, as we move forward in time, we can see that somewhere around probably that 7 to 9 p.m. timeframe, Dallas Fort Worth looking at some pretty significant storms, likely hail and wind being the main threats, probably not much of a tornado threat. And then we do have these isolated storms out here across kind of northwestern Oklahoma. Maybe something back here. I'm not sure if that's what we'll see. But again, these storms possibly more of a tornado threat up in the northern target, much more of probably a wind and certainly large hail threat here across Dallas Fort Worth. And then as we move into the over hours, there is the potential that we could see a big convective system develop here across Oklahoma and push off to the southeast towards the rest of Oklahoma or maybe even North Texas again. So that will be worth watching. We'll have to see how that plays out. Lastly, let's look at the Storm Prediction Center Day 2 outlook. We have a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk, mainly for wind and hail, that's been issued here across much of Oklahoma, but even pieces of the Red River in North Texas as well. And then a slight risk and marginal risk here across the panhandles, as well as that slight risk 2 out of 5, encompassing the Dallas Fort Worth area and much of North Texas as well. Again, not much of a tornado threat here. We got a 2% across the panhandles, really nothing here, non-zero, but close to zero over much of North Texas. But again, tomorrow, the main reasons for risk, significant hail risk, very and then also a damaging wind threat tomorrow evening once those storms kind of come together across much of Oklahoma and possibly moving to the southeast, North Texas, and especially in Oklahoma tomorrow. So that's a little bit about kind of what the forecast is showing. It's a Saturday and definitely will be a chase day. I'm still kind of trying to determine which target to play, but certainly does look like there could be some pretty significant severe weather tomorrow. So stay weather aware if you have plans on your Saturday and this Father's Day weekend. Looks like Sunday will probably be calm, but certainly Saturday we could see another round of significant severe weather. So hope everybody has a good Friday evening and certainly a good weekend, and stay weather aware tomorrow, and see you back here for the next video.